So as the final, we weren't necessarily expecting to see the Kindle Scribe versus the Tab Ultra C, but let's get to it. So this little comparison was part of a live stream where I played out a World Cup of Eink tablets. It's not the final verdict on how these two tablets compare, but really it's just a fun way to make a whole load of side-by-side comparisons and give you a bunch of demos of the standout features of these great devices. I hope you'll join me on a future live stream, and I'll look forward to answering your questions live. This is the final, and it's the Kindle Scribe versus the Boox Tab Ultra C. So this has been a long way to get here. It's a bit of a surprise, but one of the best things about a kind of World Cup is there's always a bit of an underdog story. And although this one seems like a bit of a foregone conclusion, you've got the might of the Tab Ultra C. I've gone on record and made videos where this has certainly come out as the top Eink tablet right now. It is, you know, you'd say this is ranked number one. These are the favorites. These are likely to win. And this is the good old Kindle Scribe. But isn't it weird how the Amazon Kindle Scribe for me is an underdog compared to this device here? So imagine a world where Amazon is an underdog. And I think that's the world of Eink tablets. And I think that was the mistake they made. And Lenovo have made it now as well, is kind of underestimating the strength of the competition. And really, I know it's not me that decides all these things and everything like that, and probably Kindle Scribe is probably selling better than the Boox is, but it definitely isn't as good as a tablet. But it's always 11 versus 11 on any given day, so any team can come out as a winner here. So it's worth doing that. It is amazing that this has got the might of Amazon Kindle behind it, and it is a mismatched device to this one. They're not ordinarily the two devices that you would really compare, because if you know you want reading, you probably want to go for the Kindle Scribe. Reading is your main thing. If you know you want productivity, you're probably going to go for the Tab Ultra C. So it really is a bit of a funny comparison to be making as well. And although the Scribe is the underdog in terms of the capabilities, you know, they're not the underdog in terms of where it could be. And I would hope they would listen to some of this and go ahead and improve over time, not on this device per se, but on the future iterations of the large Kindle, because I would love to be looking back and saying, wow, my Kindle Scribe 3, for instance, is the productivity and everything powerhouse, you know, that I would really want it to be, which the Boox Tab Ultra C is close to, but isn't quite there yet, probably. So the Kindle Scribe has that 300 dot per inch screen. That was its big kicker against some of the other tablets, but so does the Boox. The Boox has 300 dot per inch in black and white, but it also has that 150 dot per inch layer with the color layer, which just kind of, it's not underneath, but it just kind of adds to and fills in between the black pixels. And I think Kaleido Free is superb. So actually, if you want to do academic work, you read PDFs which have figures like graphs and tables, then it can be amazing. If you want to read graphic novels, if you like the idea of adding color to your notes, like let's do the colors, let's do the one in green, so it really makes this point for us, then it's amazing. Also, color helps out with every single app that you use here on the device. You know, every app is designed for a screen, an LCD screen, and so color helps you out just get the most out of apps. Kindle Scribe does have an incredibly clear screen, from one page to the next. There is very little ghosting, but can you see why there's very little ghosting from one page to the next? Because it regularly does whole page refreshes. Okay, whereas the mode that I'm in at the minute hardly ever does a whole page refresh, because I think I'm still in the fast mode, am I? No, I'm back in the balance mode now. And actually, and it does, certain apps does it better than others actually, but it actually clears out the white space as well, which I think is really, really excellent. That is something that once you notice that, you're like, oh, thank you for that. That is really a very, very useful thing, where it just clears out the white space in any given app. It is odd though that some apps is doing that better. I'm actually getting a bit more ghosting here on the Notes app. Did you spot that? Did you spot it? Remove the 3. So it is sort of doing some of these kind of local refreshes, and that's only made possible by the use of that GPU. So the Boox has all these different screen modes, and you can play with them to suit what you want. Like, do you want the scrolling to happen much faster? Do you want actually it to favor screen refreshes so you get more crisp and clean background all the time? So now when I go, you'll see it will actually more often do full screen refreshes. It's hardly doing it in the Notes app, and that is because it knows that it is only the middle part. It's not the whole screen that's often having to do that. So you can choose, you can optimize it to make your own. So you don't have any control over the way the screen behaves really at all, apart from maybe some options about how often it does do a whole screen refresh to remove ghosting, but it doesn't change what it's doing. It just delays doing a whole screen refresh if you don't like that kind of flash. It is a very quick flash, and it's all done and all changed very quickly. It's absolutely fine for reading. But for other apps, I think I'm going to show you a little bit later going into browsing, it's just unusable really. Okay, so the way this thing uses the GPU is just an unrivaled implementation in the whole world of Eink. So it's going to be a goal for the Tab Ultra C. The GPU, it's only had to pull it out now. It's absolutely fabulous. And because of this, it makes it an excellent place to browse the web. And actually, a lot of us do the majority of our reading on the web. Like I pretty much only read the news on a browser now. Okay, so the use of this, oh man, I'm in ultra fast and it's remembered which I'm in for each app. But generally I just live in the balanced mode because it just seems to clear up the images really nicely. Look more closely at some of these images. Generally it looks really, really good. And it looks like newsprint. It looks a little bit better than newsprint actually, I would say. So generally, you know, it looks really, really good. The Kindle ships with a browser. It does have a browser. Let's not forget in the more section, it does have a web browser. And if I go to bbc.co.uk here, you can see how well it handles that. It's on IMDb. It's a very, very slow web browser. And you can see it is just like being in HD mode permanently. There's no way to change this. Where's it gone? It is not going to be a pleasant place to get your news from, to get your information from on the internet. Yeah, it's night and day. So it's going to be another goal for the Tab Ultra C. Also that, you know, moving around an Android tablet is just so intuitive, whereas doing everything on the Kindle is it's just not. But I know that's because I'm used to using Android. I'm going to use it every single day on my phone, probably sometimes hundreds of times a day on my phone, and also on these tablets I use quite a lot. I'm testing on Android one at the minute as well. But I just think having that recents tab and things like that is just such an easy way to get around a tablet. So Kindle better change their tactics a little bit, and they're going to try and play to their strengths now. And we're going to talk about how Kindle is a distraction-free device. And well, this must be one of the greatest feats of marketing ever, really, to convince everybody that fewer features is actually an aspirational goal. That being able to do less on a device is actually a benefit. Because of course you can just turn notifications off on, so you go do not disturb mode here on the Boox devices, and you just get nothing in that tray there as well. And yeah, I've gone on record and I have said that because you can do more, you know, I don't use this device for notes maybe quite as much as I would if I had another Eink tablet. But that's because if I want to write something down, I want to write it into X tiles so that I have it in all my different browsers and things like that. That is actually what I do. Or I want to access my scripts and copy and paste into my scripts, or edit my scripts, or write with the keyboard directly into Docs. You know, these are the things. Or I want to go into my school OneDrive and actually go ahead and change that PowerPoint that I was working on for tomorrow. Or I want to use it to project to my whiteboard by either Miracast or by the Promethean app, or use Space Desk that I use from the computer here. There's so many other options, whereas on a distraction-free device, or in other words, feature-free, then you just don't have those options. And I can understand how for some people that might be the case, but I would say if you really are struggling to focus, then it's probably better to look at ways that you can sort of train yourself to get out of the habits of being distractible, rather than think that buying a new device is going to help you with that. So there's no scores here, because they can both be as distraction-free or as distracting as you like. Handwriting recognition next is very good on the Kindle. I just showed that off on the last one. It's something that I would use if I was to go full-time on the Kindle. I'd be using that regularly. But actually, handwriting recognition on the Boox, I can do that in any app at all. I can call up a text layer here, and then I can type in it with handwriting recognition. Okay, or I can actually speak to it. I can use voice typing here, and it will get that as well. Didn't quite get that, so I better then open up the keyboard case. Don't know how to move this. I can move around like that. Okay, so there's just so many options really, isn't it? And I can sit, and if I'm comfortable typing, I can sit and I can type for long periods on this case as well. It's really quite good. I can write scripts, I can write emails, I can write directly into Word. See the software, it's not always immediately obvious how you do absolutely everything. Is it in there? Why would it be in the three dots? Yeah, okay, so just give me the delete sign there. Such a frustrating thing. But again, honestly, forgive it, all of these things, because I'm just like, well, okay, I don't honestly type into this note-taking app very often. If I wanted to do some typing, I would just do it directly into Xtiles, or I would do it directly into Word, or wherever I wanted the text to be. I don't often want to write text into the Notes app. You know, once you've found that's there, okay, it's a bit silly that there's just one extra thing and it's delete, so it could have just been a delete symbol there. You know, you learn those things and you kind of can forgive them because it is so good with the other apps. I mean, I could give a consolation goal. I could say it's an own goal. On screen is an own goal from the Tab Ultra C there for sure. But as I said, I can write the scripts. I can keep the scripts wherever they are. I can carry on with them. I can use my school's OneDrive. I can use my personal OneDrive. All of the things I can do here as well. That own goal is going to be a bit of a consolation goal. And what I would say is whenever I do want to read something here on the books, I can always go into the Kindle app, of course, and I can read on here as well. The Kindle Scribe is a better place to read. There is no doubt about it. It's not just the difference in the apps. If you want to read something, I often do. If I want to just sit on the sofa and read, then I will, out of the two, I'm going to pick up the Kindle Scribe for sure, just for reading. I'm going to do that. And I said I quite like the note-taking implementation on there as well. So because I have it, it's there. And you can't actually do handwritten notes on the app, unfortunately, here. What you can do is have it side by side with the note-taking app as well, though, which is what I would do if I was reading here on a Books device, and do that regularly also as well with Kindle. Don't need to go back into the score here. But I would say that, yeah, for reading, Kindle Scribe is the better device. If it's just purely words and notes on those words, then it is the better device there, really. And all of that's going to be a bit of a consolation, though, because although they're going to go on the attack again with their Word integration and say that the Word integration, you can send things to Word and you can annotate them on here and send them back. But you can't. You can only send them back to an email. You can't send them back to Word and have them editable in Word. It's only one way, which, again, I don't think that's what they should have done. I would love to have seen a far more full Microsoft integration here. But of course, on here, you can just go into the Android Word app. If you can do it on the Android Word app, you can do it here on the Tab Ultra C. So I think this is a counter-attacking goal there from the Tab Ultra C. So from there on, I'm afraid it's just champagne football from Books. You know, it's just Olé football, you'd say. They're just passing it to each other and keeping the ball, and they're going to stop Kindle Scribe from being able to do anything else. The Kindle Scribe should have launched as a different device to this, in my opinion. And the features it has now, they should have been there at launch. And really, we should have the direction of travel, which is taking us towards a more fully featured Android device. I hope the folks at Amazon can see how their device gets smashed in every way by just a small group of talented people that work at Books. And I hope that the Scribe 2 gets launched the way it should be, and it becomes a sort of halfway house between the Kindle and the Fire devices. Maybe we could call it a Kindle Fire, if you like. This is the winner of this year's, and the Kindle is going to be runner-up. Not a bad showing from either of them. Yeah, and as long as your screen has a mirrorcast, so just in here you can see screencast, that's just normal mirrorcast. It's going to search for devices. Probably it'll find my TV if it's on, and then you just click on it. You can cast with no issues whatsoever. It's just fine. You can't do that on the Kindle. You can, so yes, basically if it's one of the Android ones, normally they have mirrorcast. At some point, why bother with an Eink tablet if you're after productivity and the iPad exists? Well, this is a question I'm going to revisit actually, Woolly because I tried using the iPad as my main planner, and I just couldn't live with it because I was just therefore looking at another LCD screen for most of the day. And these are paper-like screens. They're reflective screens. They're much nicer on your eyes than that. You also don't get the issue of having different lighting conditions affect you, and you can read these in any lighting conditions, just like you would a sheet of paper. Even in total darkness, you can just have a touch of the warm light. And that's really, really a nice way to read. So there's lots of reasons why these are better than the iPad for productivity. And because they're getting so much better, I mean, the only thing that I wouldn't do on here that I might do on an iPad is photo editing or watching videos. Well, video editing as well, but I'm going to do that on a big computer anyway. But you can do it on iPad now. They're fabulous for it now. But yeah, I just think they're different devices. But I do think that I would rather write on here, and I do think that I would rather read on here, and I'd rather do just about every other app on an e-ink tablet. As long as the screen is performing well enough, I'd rather do just about every other app, every other productivity process here on an e-ink tablet. It's just, since it's one of those things, if you haven't used one, then you might wonder why nobody would bother. I mean, Ruby's answer there. Yeah, sunlight, visibility, eye strain. Fewer distractions. I mean, yeah, I do think that that's a kind of personal one, that distraction thing. But certainly, like, because I won't use YouTube on here, and I might on an iPad or any other screen. I don't know. I'm going to revisit that question, e-ink versus iPad again in the near future. iPads are great, absolutely wonderful. I think they're different devices, though. I think unfortunately iPads are closer to toys than I'm gonna get some hate on that one, I'm sure, than most other things. It's almost like you see the iPad as being the place that you go to play about with your photos or to watch some YouTube and things like that, rather than, and it certainly is, the iPad becomes our sort of media center when we go on holiday and things like that, which is really useful. Really useful, and it's a really good device for that purpose. But the e-ink tablet is just something totally different. And it's just right for sitting next door to a computer. That being said, still for a lot of people, I would still recommend an iPad over an e-ink tablet. But there's certainly, since I've started using e-ink tablets, I would not do without one now. I would not have an e-ink tablet. There is not a chance. The Boox handwriting keyboard does work surprisingly well. And putting headings and things like that in pages is a very useful thing. So you can actually search through, and one thing you can do here is you can search through the entirety of your note library if you wish, or you can search an individual thing and it will search just the titles, as you said, just the tags, or it will search the whole text, or just handwriting. You can choose to search whatever you wish. So if I search handwriting and I search for books, it will probably take quite a while because it will have to go through and recognize all the handwriting that's in there. But you see, it's going to go ahead and search through literally every single page in the whole thing. And yeah, if you put those in titles and things like that, then you can it will search it a bit quicker. And it's certainly if you just search through tags. So you can do all the things here. They're just not as sort of baked in. They're not the only way of doing it. So they're not perfected and perfection. They're not as polished as they are on some of the other tablets. But if you think, well, I like the feature that the Remarkable has, I like the feature that the Supernote has, probably you'll find it on the Boox as well, which is a great thing. And the best thing for me is the feature is that it is just like an Android tablet, but with the e-ink screen. And e-ink screens, to go back to Woolly Bully's point here, e-ink screens are the feature of these things which makes them stand out. That's why you're here to see e-ink tablets compared, because you're either a bit of an e-ink addict like I am now, or you're considering buying one because you've heard, or you've seen a colleague maybe you've seen a colleague that's using one and really enjoying it, and they say, well, I just wouldn't go back because of all these reasons. Don't have to charge it every day. Great on my eyes, really good to read in all different lighting conditions, just a different place, less distracting, all of those things. So there's loads of reasons there. And Carlas does it index and search it. Once you've gone through and searched it all, it then knows all that handwriting. So next time you search, it doesn't take quite as long. And so I don't think I've ever searched throughout all the notepads on this. I think it'll probably be gone where it was. But if I now go into notepads and search, it won't start from the beginning. It will have done a handwriting conversion on all the notepads. And so, well, it won't have done all of them yet, probably done the first few. It's much quicker through those first notepads now, and massively quick. See, it's searching page 6 of 8, and it did all the governors ones before. It goes much more quickly once it's gone through that. It's found one so far. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for chilling out with me. Objectively, I do think I'm right in saying that the Tab Ultra C is the better device right now. There are still reasons to buy the Kindle Scribe. One of them might be price. The other one might be because you personally, you need somewhere just to pick up, read books, make notes on those books, and you don't need access to all of the productivity apps. If you need to do anything apart from read and make notes though, you want to do it on e-ink, Tab Ultra C. I don't know if it's the market leader in terms of sales, but it's definitely the market leader in terms of actual functionality of an e-ink device. It's just so much more you can do. It's really brought home that e-ink is so capable of doing more than just be for reading and writing. The result doesn't necessarily mean that one of these tablets is actually better than the other. And if you do want to know my final conclusions about how all the features of these two tablets stack up, then the best place to have a look is on the website ewritable.com, where Dan has used my testing data to let you make your own comparison chart between any Eink tablets which might interest you. And all of that data is based off my full 2 weeks of testing, and I haven't just pulled down the press release and filmed a video based on what that says, nor have I just opened the box and played about for a few hours and pressed record. If I've reviewed an Eink tablet, I've used it in my daily work life, in my professional job as a teacher for at least 2 weeks. And that way I really find out what it's like to live with and rely on it. And you really find out the benefits and the bugs that way. So here are my video reviews of the two tablets featured in today's match.